Softball season is one of those things that you get in the meat of it and it goes by so fast. So we are in the dead middle of softball season. Hello again, everybody. This is the Four Corners Softball Podcast. I'm Kyle Parmley, joined by Karen Johns. I mean, Karen, like it seems like just yesterday it was the middle of February and we're just getting everything started. And now you look up and, oh my goodness, we're in the back end of April and the games are starting to get really important. It's just flying by.
It's no doubt we're almost ready for those area tournaments to start for softball and, baseball first rounds already going to start this week for the 6A and lower divisions, and just incredible college softball. We're down to the last 3 weeks of conference play. A lot of big matchups this week, especially in the SEC. Big 12 has some big matchups. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Yeah, and so if you've listened to any of our previous episodes, the point of this podcast is to cover the sport throughout the state. And we're going to lead off with one of the most important figures in softball in this state, and that's Jana McGinnis. She was recently honored. She's been the head coach at Jacksonville State for many years. She just reached 1,000 career wins at JSU. Just an unbelievable accomplishment. They named the field after her at JSU now. If you've ever been up there, they got a beautiful facility, that turf field with the view of the mountains in the background beyond the fence. It's just a really cool place. Really cool woman. She's done so much for the sport. Karen, I'm sure you've crossed paths with Jana a time or two over the years.
No doubt I have. And I remember when I was coaching at Alabama when we started the program, and she was just so gracious to us as a program, scheduling, you name it, when we played. And then once I got out of coaching and I was working for ESPN, I remember covering her NCAA regional in 2009. Mm-hmm. Her team travels to Knoxville and they win the regional. They moved to super regionals. They had so much fun going to Tuscaloosa to have to play Alabama and Kelsey Dunn. But they came out, lost the first game to Nebraska, Kyle, that year. And they came through the losers bracket and beat Tennessee on day 3 twice.
Wow.
To win the regionals. And I remember her interview for the super regionals. And Kyle, she was so just appreciative, thankful, excited for her team, appreciating the opportunity to travel to Tuscaloosa. It was just such a refreshing feeling to hear a successful coach, and who's now gone on. We had no idea, right, at the time, how successful she was really going to be. But to hear how just humble and gracious she was. And I'll never forget that. Every time I see her, just warm, open arms. I can't say enough about her. I hope people who are listening that are around her get that nomination for the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame because she has earned the position to be in that hall. Her credentials are unreal. And I'm so thankful that JSU is blessing her with this honor. I'm sure she was very gracious and humble in receiving it. But she has earned such a wonderful honor, and what a great representative of the sport, the state, and of course Jacksonville University.
Yeah, absolutely. Jana McGinnis Field, that will be so really cool honor. And hey, the team's been playing well this year. They're doing really well in the ASUN. I think it's 12-4 conference mark right now. So they've got a chance to make some noise in that conference. And hey, you win the conference tournament, you got a chance to get into a regional and maybe even repeat what you were talking about those years ago.
Yeah, I watched them last night. I'm covering the Alabama-Auburn game for ESPN this weekend, so I watched the game last night. They traveled down to Auburn. Mm-hmm. They have great pitching, and they play great defense. Yeah. And they were in the game. They ended up losing the game, but it was a close, tight-knit game. And they throw the ball well and they field the ball well. And that's going to go miles for them in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. So really cool stuff there. She's done a lot. And like Karen said, this seems like a no-brainer for a future Alabama Sports Hall of Fame member. So we'll see what happens there. Want to take a minute? Let's thank our friends at First Choice Properties for jumping on board and helping us out with the Four Corners podcast this year. You got a rental property that you need someone to manage. You can work with somebody local. First Choice Properties, those are your people. They've got a premier property management team, experience in all the details of day-to-day management. Jefferson, Shelby, St. Clair, or Tuscaloosa counties. If you've got a house there, you can rest easy knowing that you can work with professionals who are passionate about maximizing your investment. Check out Alabama's most trusted single-family property manager. That's firstchoiceproperties.com. You can call them at 205-433-9811. First Choice, integrity, responsiveness, trustworthiness. Those are your people. So we're really thankful for them for hopping on board. All right, on the Four Corners Softball Podcast today, I am here at Hartselle High School talking to two special guests. I've got pitchers junior Blayne Godfrey and freshman Bailey Lawrence. Girls, how are we doing today?
Good.
All right. Well, we are glad that y'all are joining me on the podcast this week.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to make a trip up here and see the Tigers, who in the final 6A rankings of the regular season are ranked number 3, have got high hopes for the regular season remaining and the postseason regional tournament, hopefully state tournament. So before we get started, I want to tell you a little story. The Prayers for Kaylee Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising funds and awareness for pediatric cancer research and providing support to those families and their communities. I want to tell you about Kaylee. She was a bright, sassy, softball-loving little girl. May 13th, 2016, her 7th birthday, she was diagnosed with a rare and terminal form of brain cancer with a 0% survival rate. She was given only 6 to 9 months to live, and Kaylee started a journey at that time of laughter, fun, and lots of love. She fought that cancer for 6 months, and all along the way, her mom blogged daily, sharing the journey, and by the time of her death, her story had reached every state, more than 30 countries, 6 continents, and had been translated into at least 6 different languages. She became a beacon of hope, inspiring positivity no matter the circumstances. So that's the Prayers for Kaylee Foundation. That's her family's way of continuing that legacy that she started. Fundraisers throughout the year include a 5K race, a softball tournament, a kayak fishing tournament, and a black tie gala. Together we can make a difference. For more information or to support this foundation, visit the website www.thepfkfoundation.org. Prayers for Kaylee Foundation. We're really thankful for them. So girls, let's talk softball. A lot of big games already to this point. We've got a few more down the stretch. So Blayne, I want to know, how do you feel like the season's going so far for you guys?
I felt like it's going really well, and that we've just got better and better as it went, and we've just improved as a team.
Yeah. Well, so Bailey, this is your first year on the varsity squad. What's it been like? Has it been what you expected it to be?
Yeah, the girls really warmed up to me really fast. They're really good. I can trust my D behind me.
Yeah.
And I think it's going great.
Well, Blayne, tell me, she talks about the defense. How much confidence does that give you when you know you've got 8 behind you that are going to pick it and not throw the ball over the yard?
A bunch. It's easy throwing when you know there's a defense behind you that is going to get your mistakes. So
yeah. Well, tell me what it's like having Bailey. You know, it's a 9th grader. There's a lot to learn for Bailey, but she's somebody that has been able to step in and provide innings for this team and not have all the pressure on you, but also to give a lot of quality as well.
I feel like she's really gone and like put up her role, and she's doing really well at it. And when I was younger, we pretty much played the same role, so I just feel like she's doing a great job.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bailey, I gotta ask, like, you've beaten Spain Park a couple weeks ago. What are the nerves like when you go out there facing a 7A team like that? You know they're really good, and you go out there, you pitch 5 great innings. What's it like pitching in a game like that?
It was good. I was confident in myself. My D backed me up. The bats really worked.
What was it like coming in to close that game out for?
It was really fun. I had a really fun time. She pitched great, and it was just nice to come in there with a lead and just get it done.
Yeah. Well, all right, Blayne. So last year didn't go the way you guys wanted it to. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the off season coming into this year. What was that drive like? That fuel like? That, you know, hey, we don't want to have this happen to us again this year.
I feel like that we knew we could have produced more last year, and it just didn't go the way we needed it to. So this year, I feel like everybody's having like a fuel under them, just so they know that we can go farther than we did last year.
Well, so what do you think that's going to take? Like, what's it going to take to get past that regional tournament this
Hard
year?
work, trusting each other, loving each other, just everything like that.
Yeah. Well, Bailey, tell me what it's been like. What have you learned from Blayne? I mean, she's one of the top pitchers in the state. So that's got to be something that you can watch her every day and pick up on things. Just what kind of things has she shown you?
She can stay positive even when she's not doing good, and she can find a way to work out of it.
Yeah.
She's really great. She's sweet. She doesn't get mad at anybody, but she's not afraid to tell you off. Like, she'll tell you what you're doing wrong.
Well, Blayne, you mentioned like you've been in the shoes before. You've been the really young player that is coming up and playing a role. So what kind of things are you trying to convey to Bailey as we get into the last portion of a season?
I think that you just learn a lot by example, and if I give her a good example and we do the same thing, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I like that. Well, all right, Blayne is a Auburn commit. She's going to Auburn after her senior year here. So tell me about the recruiting process. How stressful was it? What was it about Auburn that finally, sealed the deal for you?
I didn't really think the recruiting process was very stressful at all. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And when we went on our visit to Auburn, I just fell in love with the campus, the coaches. I made a lot of new friends while I was down there. Everybody was so nice to me. It was just awesome. I really liked it. So I decided that I wanted to be home.
So you think the orange and blue is going to look good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, so Bailey, like I'm assuming that you have aspirations to do something like that in the future. What are you hoping to do over these next few years to put you in a position to potentially play at the next level?
Working hard in the off season, staying up to date on my grades, making connections with good people.
Yeah.
And working hard in travel ball.
Yeah. No, I mean, those sound like good goals to you.
I agree. 100%.
Well, on the day that we're recording this, Hartselle's got a big game against Athens, and then you guys are going to play a big tournament this weekend. A lot of big games. So how do you kind of balance the mix of, hey, we're here to have a good time, but there's a lot of really key games for us, and kind of keeping that we want to have fun, but at the same time it's serious.
I say that just staying focused. It's okay to be yourself and have fun, but when it comes game time, it's time to focus and lock in.
Yeah. Bailey, what do you think this team needs to do down the stretch?
Stay up in the dugout. We tend to get down a little bit, but we can work at that.
Yeah.
We can come off of a bad inning and still stay up and know our bats and have good pitch selection.
Yeah. Blayne, tell me about your pregame routine. Say we have a big regional tournament game, a big playoff game. What's your mindset like? Is it just you don't think about it until hey, it's time to warm up? Do you set on it for a week? What is leading up to a big game like for you?
I basically plan what all I'm gonna do. If I know I'm probably gonna pitch this game, I just look and prepare myself for it. And when it comes time, I just don't think about it anymore and just go with the flow and just lock in and just focus on myself.
Yeah. Do you have to battle fatigue as it gets later in the season? Are you able to maintain feeling fresh all the way through, or do you kind of have to start fighting that as you get into late May?
It gets a little tiring sometimes, but I think that's just part of it. You just have to push through that, and it just builds you.
Yeah. All right. Well, both of you, tell me a little bit about what kind of pitchers are you? How would you describe yourself as a pitcher? What is Blayne Godfrey in the circle? What kind of pitcher are you?
I feel like I'm quiet and focused, very focused, but I feel like there's so many people around me that pick me up that I can just be loud with them too. So just concentrated, really.
Yeah. What kind of pitcher do you feel like you are?
I'm concentrated, but when we have a huddle, I'll let up and I'll cut up when the other team's arguing because they like to do that. I'll just laugh and talk to them, and they'll pick me up, like Blayne said.
Yeah. Well, girls, I know I'm really looking forward to seeing how you guys perform down the stretch. If you get past the area tournament, the regional tournament in Florence is going to be a lot of fun, really competitive.
Oh, yeah.
I'll probably be up there at that one if I had to guess.
I would hope so.
So, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having us.
That's Blayne Godfrey and Bailey Lawrence on the Four Corners Softball Podcast with us today. All right, Karen, let's go around the horn now. Let's do some Four Corners. We've got four pretty cool topics that we want to touch on today. Let's start with looking back at last weekend. You know, we previewed how important these SEC series were for Alabama and Auburn. Alabama playing Mississippi State, Auburn playing LSU, and both of the in-state teams delivered. Alabama with a much-needed sweep over Mississippi State. Auburn takes 2 out of 3 from LSU. And Karen, that Sunday game between Auburn and LSU was fantastic. Auburn wins it 1-0 in 9 innings. Michaela Packer gets the walk-off hit. Maddie Penta, 8 2/3 of just phenomenal ball. That was one heck of a game there.
There were so many good things that happened for Auburn in that game. And the one thing that stood out the most was Shelby Lowe coming in and slamming the door on LSU's hottest hitter of the weekend, Petty, and she struck her out and she made it look easy. And that was a big, big plus for Auburn, because if they're going to make a run in postseason, they have to have Shelby Lowe.
Yeah, absolutely. And what'd you think of the Crimson Tide getting that sweep over State?
It was a much needed one for their positioning for postseason seeds, and they went and took care of business. They played very good defense. They got great pitching, of course. Salter delivered another good outing for them in that middle game. Montana Fouts was Montana Fouts, and they took care of business. They did what they needed to do. Their first sweep of the season, and those were good wins for them to maintain a top 16 seed in the country.
Right. So big wins for both of those teams. They're now both, Alabama and Auburn, are 9-6 in the conference. That puts them in a tie for third. We talked about it last week that logjam in the middle was going to start to separate itself one way or the other. And it's good to see that there's some progress in Alabama and Auburn potentially rising toward the top as we get towards the critical stretches here.
Yeah, this is a big, big series for both. Auburn really needs to make a move against higher ranked teams. That's the one thing that is hurting them. Their strength of schedule is low because they're at a conference schedule, but the SEC provides them that opportunity. This is an opportunity for them. They have not fared well on the road. I think they're 4-5 on the road. So a lot of things can happen good for Auburn if they come and take care of business. They're over 100 innings without an error right now, or one error in the last 100 innings. So, excuse me. Their defense is solid. Their pitching is good. They're getting some timely hits. Big task going into Tuscaloosa at the Rhodes House against Montana Fouts is going to be a huge challenge for them. And they have been working hard to drive pitches opposite field the last 6, 7, 8 games. You hear Coach Dean talking about it in his in-game interviews. So a lot of things can happen good for Auburn and for Alabama. This is good, solid top 30 wins. And to maintain, like I said, that postseason seed, you want to be in that top 16.
Yeah, no doubt. And that leads into our second base. Alabama and Auburn facing off the Iron Bowl of softball, if you will, this weekend in Tuscaloosa. I know, Karen, you're going to be out there working that this weekend. I'm hoping to get out to one of the games, but just a sign of how big of a series this is, how much of momentum softball has gained. All 3 of these games will be televised. I mean, if you look at Friday night, you've got 8 o'clock on SEC Network. Saturday, you got 3 o'clock on SEC Network. And then on Sunday at 11:30 a.m., Auburn and Alabama on main ESPN. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to hopefully being out there with you for that, Karen. It's going to be a big series. I mean, this is as good as it gets in the regular season.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be huge. The crowds are going to be amazing. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of Auburn fans there. The softball game is an hour into the first pitch is an hour into the Alabama spring game. So there's going to be a lot going on in Tuscaloosa, and it's going to be a whole bunch of fun for if you love softball and your high school team isn't playing, you need to be at the Rhodes House.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a big weekend down there. So we will see how that shakes out. It's going to be a big deal for whichever team is able to claim that series. So we'll see. Looking forward to it. All right, let's talk about some junior college ball with third base. We talked about it last week, how big this Wallace State, Snead State series was. And Wallace State really really asserted some power over the weekend. They fought some rainouts late last week. They got a game plus most of game 2 in on Saturday, and then came back to Wallace State on Monday, finished up the second game, and then played the third and the fourth. But Wallace State takes all 4 games over Snead. It's kind of interesting because Wallace State's done a lot of their damage this year with really strong pitching and timely hitting. But this past weekend, they had some big time clutch hits. They hit a ton of home runs. Jesse Taylor, Laura Lee Wheeler they were cranking them out of the yard faster. I think both of them had 3 or 4 over the series. So, but make no mistake, like Snead battled. I think the first 3 games of the series were decided by a combined 4 runs. And then the fourth game, Wallace kind of ran away with. But it was a really competitive. It's about as competitive as a 4-0 series could be.
It was incredibly competitive, and Wallace State 33 runs scored in the 4 games, and their offense just exploded when they needed it the most. This was their biggest test so far this season, as far as their in-state schedule is concerned, and they're on a roll, 14 in a row right now. I do not see them dropping another regular season game unless they just have a bump in the road, don't play well, maybe play some bad defense. But I can see them finishing out the season with a 20-win streak and going into the state tournament.
Yeah, and they even parlayed some of that momentum into a sweep of Chattanooga State on Wednesday, and Chat State's one of the best JUCO teams in the nation as well. So big stuff going on for Wallace right now. The state tournament will be in Alabaster in a few weeks, early May. So that'll be a lot of fun. Let's move on to home plate. The final Alabama Sports Writers Association high school rankings are out. Let me run through some of the number 1 teams. Skyline is holding strong at number 1 in 1A. Wicksburg, they claim the top spot in 2A, a little shake up there. Plainview at number 1 in 3A. Curry's the top team in 4A. Springville number 1 in 5A. Wetumpka number 1 in 6A, and Central Phoenix City, who we talked about a lot last week, they are number 1 in 7A. So those will be your final regular season rankings. But we got to give some love to the Plainview Bears. They are 31-0 as of this recording. Just steamrolling opponents. They get great pitching. They get great hitting. They are doing it all right now.
Well, for those Bears, it starts in the circle with Lily Boswell. Kyle, she's 14-0. She has 150 strikeouts and only 8 walks and a minuscule .294 ERA. So it starts there, but then, she has the luxury of trotting into the dugout, and then Mia Tidmore and Abby Williams, they're hitting over 1,600 for an OPS. They've combined for 133 hits, 41 doubles, 12 home runs. The offense is explosive. They have 10 players with an OPS over 1,000. This team is so strong and so solid. And with those pitching numbers, it's going to be tough to knock them out. And I could see them making a run for that blue trophy this year.
Oh, I definitely could too. And, you mentioned Lily Boswell, Mia Tidmore. They're both Wallace State commits. They look, like you mentioned all those numbers, they're silly. Lily's about to go over 1,000 strikeouts. She probably will have had that number notched by the time you guys listen to this. So big things coming for them. Also wanted to touch on a little bit. We had a battle of number 1s. Wetumpka went down to Phoenix City and played Central earlier this week, and the game lived up to it. Central won it 4-3 in 8 innings. Top of the 8th, Wetumpka's Maya Holt hits a go-ahead home run to dead center. And then in the bottom half, Central got a 2-run walk-off double from McKinley Allen to win the thing. Maya pitched great for Wetumpka. Allie Supan pitched great for Central. It was what you expect from a battle of number 1s, and both of those teams, they showed well for themselves that night.
Yeah, they both did. And Central Phoenix City just keeps depositing, winning close games. They just keep making those deposits. So in postseason, when you get real familiar, you get comfortable with that feeling, and having those nerves and those kind of games, boy, they're making some big strides. But Wetumpka, how good are they? 40-3, Kyle. 40-3 this year. They don't know what losing feels like either. And so they should make a really good, strong run. I know Athens and Hartselle are going to have something to say about that, and probably Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, but right now they are definitely the clear favorite for the 6A title.
Now, listen, in high school ball, teams aren't playing 70, 75 games like maybe they did 15, 20 years ago. So getting 40 wins at this point of the season, that's nothing to sneeze at. And this Wetumpka team they have piled them up quickly, and they've really competed well against the top teams that they've played on their schedule. So, like you said, look out. The top end of that 6A state tournament is shaping up to be pretty intense, pretty awesome. So, yeah, next time we will see you. We'll have a further update on them. But like we said, area tournaments are coming up. They'll start in a little over a week. So coming down the stretch in the high school ranks. As we wrap up Four Corners, I want to give a shout out to our guys at Scouttown Sports, Mark Purvis and Matt Jones, two of the best supporters of the travel ball softball world. Scouttown Sports got a big summer. We want you to be a part of it. They're hosting 3 tournaments this summer. The USA Scouttown National Showcase is May 26th through 28th in Montgomery. The USA Scouttown Showcase is June 30th through July 2nd in Birmingham. And the USA Scouttown Capital City Showcase is July 28th through 30th in Montgomery. These Scouttown events are great because college coaches come run a pre-showcase exposure camps. They hang around and they recruit the event itself. 6 innings, no time limit. That's what they hang their hat on. The games are always super competitive, a lot of fun, no gimmicks. So if you want to be a part of any of those tournaments, check them out, Scouttown Sports on Facebook, or you can check them out online at scouttown.sportengine.com. To really appreciate those guys. Karen, I want to give our team spotlight this week to the Priceville Bulldogs. If you have never been to Priceville, it's right off 65 on the way to Decatur, Hartselle, that area. Priceville's right off the interstate, right off 65. It's a great little place. They are in the ever-competitive 4A, which is going to be tough this year. However, the Bulldogs are 32-5 as of us recording this, having a great season. I got to go up there last week and see them catch a win against West Morgan. Matt Morris, head coach there, doing a great job. He's been there a handful of years. But yeah, Priceville is going to be a team to look out for. They're one of those teams that their regional is stacked. There's a lot of really good teams in it. But as you know, like they're one of those teams that you're not going to be able to roll the ball out and beat them. They're going to give you everything they've got. And this is a team that has the potential to sneak up and get through that regional if things shake out the right way.
Yeah, they are definitely the team that nobody wants to have to face. Oh, yeah. They are, they're not ranked in the top 10, but very easily could be. They are receiving some votes. They're being nominated and all that kind of thing, but they're solid on defense. They get good pitching and they hit the ball well. They are a complete team, and that makes them a challenge. So I agree with you. I think they're going to be sneaky, and I think whoever has to match up with them, they need to bring their A game because they can beat you.
Absolutely. Yeah, they can do it. They can do it both ways as well. They swing the sticks in the middle of that lineup, and they've got a couple of pretty solid pitchers in the circle. So Priceville, don't overlook them if you come across them in the regional or state tournaments. But Karen, that's about all we've got today. We got to hear from some people from Hartselle. We got to talk. We got to hear from Barry Brake. We got to talk some Four Corners. Can't wait for that Alabama-Auburn series this weekend. You guys that have been listening and supporting as we've been doing this spring, we really appreciate it. Any thoughts, any ideas, any potential guests, reach out to me on Twitter at Kyle Parmley. We'd love to hear from you. Anybody that you think would be interesting and compelling, and we've had plenty of those to this point. We love showcasing the people and the personalities in the sport. So Karen, once again, a great episode. I can't wait for this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We're ready, Kyle. Ready for some ball. That's for sure.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it. We will see you guys next time on the Four Corners Softball Podcast.